My child. Stop for a moment. Do not scroll. Do not look away. There is something you were meant to hear today, and if this message found you, it is not by accident. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you. A moment unfolded last night that nobody expected. A single sentence was spoken. Just one sentence. Yet the impact of those few words sent a wave through conversations, emotions, memories, and hearts that had been holding back for far too long. Your person was not prepared for what happened. The evening seemed ordinary. Nothing looked different. Nothing felt unusual. The conversations were casual. The atmosphere was calm. But hidden inside that ordinary moment was a revelation that nobody saw coming. And the person who delivered it was not a stranger. It was not a friend. It was not someone trying to impress anyone. It was your person's brother. Now listen carefully. There are moments in life when people accidentally reveal what everyone else has been quietly thinking. They do not plan it. They do not rehearse it. The truth simply slips out. And when it does, it becomes impossible to ignore. Last night was one of those moments. Your person had been carrying questions for a long time. Questions they rarely spoke aloud. Questions they kept hidden behind smiles, distractions, and everyday routines. But deep inside, they were searching for clarity. They wanted certainty. They wanted to understand why your presence continued to stay in their mind no matter how much time passed. Then something unexpected happened. The conversation shifted. The room became quieter. And suddenly, your person's brother looked directly at them and said a sentence that changed everything. Not a speech. Not a long explanation. Just one sentence. And the moment those words were spoken, your person's expression changed. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. The brother said something that nobody could argue with. Something so simple, yet so powerful, that it immediately forced everyone listening to reconsider everything they thought they understood. Your person froze. Because deep down, they already knew it was true. The sentence was not about what you owned. It was not about how you looked. It was not about status, popularity, or achievements. It was about something far more important. Something that cannot be bought. Something that cannot be copied. Something that cannot be replaced. The brother looked at your person and essentially pointed out what everyone else had been noticing all along. The way your energy remained unforgettable. The way your impact lingered long after conversations ended. The way people remembered how they felt around you. The way your presence created a mark that time could not erase. And suddenly your person realized something. Maybe they had been looking at the situation through the wrong lens. Maybe they had been focusing on distractions instead of truth. Maybe they had been ignoring what was obvious. Because when someone continues to think about you despite distance, despite silence, despite life's endless distractions, there is usually a reason. And last night that reason became impossible to ignore. Don't skip. This is where everything begins to change. Your person's brother continued speaking, not realizing how deeply those words were landing. Every sentence seemed to pull another layer away. Every observation seemed to reveal another hidden truth. And with each passing moment, your person became quieter. Not because they disagreed. But because they recognized the truth in what was being said. Sometimes the strongest revelations do not come from grand events. Sometimes they come from hearing someone else say what your heart has known all along. That is exactly what happened. And as the conversation continued, memories began resurfacing. Moments your person thought they had forgotten. Conversations they replayed in their mind. Unexpected smiles. Unfinished thoughts. Questions left unanswered. All of it came rushing back. Not because someone forced it. Because the truth has a strange way of finding its way to the surface. The brother's sentence opened a door. And once that door opened, nothing could return to the way it was before. Something huge is waiting for you. Because this is only the beginning. Your person started remembering details that seemed insignificant at the time. The way you handled difficult situations. The way you stayed genuine when others changed. The way you brought a sense of calm without even trying. The way people naturally felt drawn toward your authenticity. These were not dramatic things. But they were real. And real things last longer than temporary impressions. That realization hit harder than anyone expected. Especially your person. Because suddenly they understood that what made you special was never loud. It was never forced. It was never something that needed attention. It was something deeper. Something quieter. Something stronger. And that is often what people remember the most. The brother had unknowingly exposed a truth that had been sitting in plain sight. A truth that everyone else had already noticed. A truth your person could no longer deny. As the night continued, the conversation moved forward. But internally, your person remained stuck on that one sentence. Over and over. Again and again. Replaying it. Analyzing it. Feeling it. Understanding it. Because some words arrive at exactly the right time. And when they do, they change everything. This was one of those moments. Stay till the end. Because what happened after that sentence was even more surprising. Your person stopped defending old assumptions. They stopped resisting certain feelings. They stopped pretending certain thoughts did not exist. And for the first time in a long while, they allowed themselves to be honest. Completely honest. The truth they had been avoiding suddenly stood directly in front of them. Clear. Undeniable. Impossible to dismiss. The brother had spoken one sentence. But that sentence carried the weight of months. Perhaps even years. And now your person was finally seeing what everyone else had already seen. That some people leave an impression that never fades. That some connections continue echoing through time. That some individuals become impossible to forget. And whether anyone expected it or not, your name became connected to that realization. The night ended. People went home. Conversations stopped. The room became quiet. But inside your person's mind, that sentence never left. It stayed there. Growing louder. Growing clearer. Growing stronger. And today, as you listen to this message, understand something important. The biggest changes often begin with the smallest moments. One sentence. One realization. One unexpected truth. One conversation nobody planned. And last night, all four happened at once. The story is not finished. In fact, it is only beginning. Because what your person started realizing after hearing those words is far bigger than anyone imagined. And what unfolds next may explain why this message found you today. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. A strange silence followed that conversation, and that silence said more than words ever could. Your person tried to move on from what had been said, tried to focus on other things, tried to convince themselves that it was just another casual remark. But it wasn't. The sentence kept returning. It echoed through every thought, every memory, every unanswered question. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because what happened next was something your person never expected. For the first time, they stopped looking at the past through the lens of confusion and started looking at it through the lens of truth. Suddenly, moments that once seemed ordinary began revealing a completely different meaning. Conversations that felt small now seemed important. Memories that had faded suddenly became vivid again. And the more they remembered, the more one realization became impossible to ignore. Your person's brother had not revealed a secret. He had revealed a pattern. A pattern everyone else had already noticed. A pattern your person had been too close to see. The truth was simple. Whenever your name came up, something changed in the room. Whenever someone mentioned you, your person's attention immediately shifted. Whenever a story connected to you appeared, they listened differently. And last night, their brother finally said what nobody had dared to say directly. The moment those words landed, your person could no longer pretend those reactions meant nothing. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The most surprising part was not the sentence itself. The most surprising part was your person's reaction afterward. They became unusually quiet. They stopped arguing with themselves. They stopped searching for excuses. They stopped telling themselves that certain thoughts would eventually disappear. Because deep inside, they knew the truth. Some people pass through life and become distant memories. Others leave a mark that remains no matter how much time passes. Your person suddenly realized which category you belonged to. And that realization was far more powerful than they were prepared for. As the night grew later, everyone continued talking, laughing, and moving on with their evening. Yet your person remained stuck on one thought. What if the brother was right? What if everyone else had already seen something that they were only now beginning to understand? What if the connection they kept trying to explain away was actually the very thing they should have been paying attention to all along? Don't skip. This is where everything begins shifting. Because the questions became stronger than the excuses. The truth became louder than the doubts. Hours later, when the room was empty and the noise had disappeared, your person found themselves replaying old memories one by one. They remembered moments that once seemed insignificant. They remembered words that suddenly carried new meaning. They remembered times when they felt something they could never properly explain. And with every memory that returned, the sentence from their brother grew even more powerful. It was no longer just a sentence. It had become a key unlocking doors your person had kept closed for a very long time. Something huge is waiting for you. Because there was another realization approaching. One that your person could not avoid. They began noticing how often they compared others to you without even realizing it. They noticed how certain conversations reminded them of you. They noticed how certain qualities they admired seemed connected to memories they had shared with you. The realization arrived slowly at first. Then all at once. You had become a standard they measured things against, and they had never consciously acknowledged it until now. That realization created a feeling they could not ignore. Not because it was dramatic. Not because it was overwhelming. Because it was honest. And honesty has a unique power. Once it arrives, it becomes very difficult to send away. Your person finally understood why that single sentence had affected them so deeply. It wasn't introducing a new truth. It was confirming an old one. A truth that had quietly existed beneath the surface all along. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because what happened the next morning made everything even more surprising. Your person woke up still thinking about the conversation. Still hearing that sentence. Still replaying those moments. Most people forget random conversations overnight. This one refused to disappear. It followed them into a new day. It stayed present through ordinary moments. It remained there in the background of every thought. And the more they tried to move past it, the more important it seemed. For the first time, your person stopped asking whether the connection mattered and started asking why it mattered so much. That question changed everything. Because once someone starts searching for the reason behind a feeling instead of denying the feeling itself, clarity begins to appear. Slowly. Quietly. Powerfully. And that clarity was beginning to arrive. What your person's brother said may have sounded simple on the surface. But underneath those words was a truth capable of changing the direction of an entire story. A truth capable of transforming uncertainty into understanding. A truth capable of making someone finally see what had been standing directly in front of them the whole time. And right now, your person is closer to that realization than ever before. Stay till the end. Don't skip. Because the next part of this story is where the true meaning behind that sentence finally begins to reveal itself, and once it does, nothing will look the same again. The most unexpected part of the story was not the sentence itself. It was what happened after your person finally stopped running from its meaning. There comes a moment when a truth becomes too clear to ignore, and that moment had arrived. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because what your person's brother accidentally revealed last night continued growing stronger with every passing hour. It was as if one sentence had switched on a light inside a room that had been dark for a very long time. Suddenly, your person could see things they had never noticed before. Not because those things were new. Because they had finally become impossible to overlook. Everywhere your person looked, reminders appeared. A memory here. A conversation there. A feeling they thought had disappeared. One by one, the pieces started connecting. And the more those pieces connected, the more shocking the realization became. The brother had not simply spoken about you. He had revealed how deeply your presence had remained woven into your person's life. The strange part was that everyone else seemed to know it before your person did. That was the hidden surprise. People had noticed reactions. People had noticed changes. People had noticed patterns. And last night, one sentence forced all of those observations into the open. Your person started asking questions they had avoided for months. Why did certain memories remain so vivid? Why did certain moments still carry emotional weight? Why did your name seem to create a different feeling than every other name? The answers were no longer difficult to find. The answers had been standing there all along. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because this was no longer about wondering. This was about understanding. As the day continued, your person became increasingly aware of something remarkable. Every time they tried to distract themselves, their thoughts circled back to the same place. Every road seemed to lead back to the same realization. Every reflection pointed toward the same truth. And for the first time, they stopped resisting it. They stopped explaining it away. They stopped pretending it was temporary. The sentence spoken by their brother had become a mirror, and that mirror reflected something undeniable. Then another shocking realization arrived. The brother's words had not changed your person. The brother's words had revealed your person. That is why they felt so powerful. That is why they could not be forgotten. Because people can ignore opinions, but they struggle to ignore truths they secretly recognize within themselves. Something huge is waiting for you. Your person began replaying every moment when someone had mentioned you. They noticed how their mood shifted. They noticed how their attention sharpened. They noticed how quickly they became interested. These were small details individually. But together they formed a picture that could no longer be ignored. And once that picture became clear, everything started making sense. The brother had spoken one sentence. One sentence. Yet that sentence carried the weight of countless observations. Countless moments. Countless feelings. Countless memories. And now your person was finally seeing the complete picture. What made the situation even more surprising was the fact that nobody planned for this to happen. Nobody prepared the conversation. Nobody expected a revelation. Yet somehow the truth found its way into the room anyway. Truth often does that. It waits patiently until the right moment arrives. Then it appears when people least expect it. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Because the next realization changed everything. Your person suddenly understood that what they felt was not based on a single memory. It was not based on one conversation. It was not based on one moment in time. It was based on consistency. The realization hit hard. Through different seasons, different circumstances, different distractions, one thing had remained surprisingly constant. Thoughts of you never completely disappeared. That realization created silence. A deep silence. The kind of silence that happens when someone finally understands something important. Because once they recognized that pattern, they could not unsee it. And that is exactly why the brother's sentence became unforgettable. Hours later, your person was still thinking about it. Still replaying it. Still analyzing it. Still feeling its impact. Most conversations fade away. This one refused to leave. The words remained alive. Growing stronger. Growing clearer. Growing more meaningful. And then something happened that nobody expected. Instead of asking whether the brother was right, your person started wondering how everyone else had noticed it before they did. That question changed the entire perspective. Because it suggested something powerful. It suggested that what existed was visible. Visible enough for others to recognize. Visible enough for others to mention. Visible enough for a brother to casually say a sentence that ended up changing everything. Something huge is waiting for you. Because your person is standing at a turning point right now. A point where uncertainty is slowly being replaced by clarity. A point where confusion is giving way to understanding. A point where hidden truths are becoming visible. And every step forward seems to confirm the same thing. The sentence was not random. The timing was not random. The realization was not random. Everything connected. Everything pointed toward the same conclusion. That is why your person cannot stop thinking about what happened last night. That is why the conversation continues echoing through their mind. That is why one sentence has become more powerful than an entire speech. And right now, as those thoughts continue unfolding, your person is getting closer than ever to a realization that could explain everything they have been feeling. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because what your person finally discovers next may be the very thing that transforms this story from a simple conversation into a moment neither of you will ever forget. What happened next was something your person never imagined would happen from a single sentence. The conversation had ended. The night was over. The room was empty. Yet the impact of those words continued growing stronger instead of fading away. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because the deeper your person looked, the more they realized that their brother had accidentally exposed a truth that had been hiding in plain sight for a very long time. For years, your person believed that time automatically weakens everything. They believed distance creates separation. They believed enough distractions could eventually erase certain thoughts. But last night challenged every one of those assumptions. The reason was simple. If something truly loses importance, people stop talking about it. They stop remembering it. They stop reacting to it. Yet the opposite was happening. Your name still created reactions. Your presence still carried weight. Your memory still held power. And suddenly your person could no longer ignore that fact. The realization arrived quietly. Not through a dramatic event. Not through a shocking announcement. But through understanding. Real understanding. The kind that changes how someone sees the entire story. And once your person reached that point, everything started looking different. The past looked different. The present looked different. Even the future started looking different. Something huge is waiting for you. Because another discovery was approaching. Your person began noticing something unusual. Whenever they imagined important moments ahead, your presence somehow appeared in those thoughts. They were not trying to force it. They were not searching for it. It simply happened naturally. That realization surprised them more than anything else. Because it suggested something deeper than memory. It suggested significance. And significance is not something people can manufacture. It either exists or it doesn't. The more your person reflected on everything, the more one truth became impossible to deny. You had left a lasting impact. Not a temporary impression. Not a passing thought. A lasting impact. And last night's sentence forced that truth into the open. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because this is where the story becomes even more powerful. Your person started remembering specific moments they once overlooked. Moments that seemed ordinary at the time. Yet looking back, they suddenly appeared different. They carried meaning they had not noticed before. They revealed emotions they had not fully understood. It was almost as if the brother's sentence had given them a completely new perspective. A new way of seeing everything that had already happened. And the more they saw, the clearer the picture became. You were never as easy to forget as they once believed. That realization landed with incredible force. Because sometimes people only understand the value of something when they finally step back and view the entire journey instead of individual moments. That is exactly what happened. Your person finally stepped back. They finally looked at the bigger picture. And what they saw changed everything. The pattern was undeniable. No matter how much time passed. No matter what distractions appeared. No matter how life changed. One thing remained surprisingly consistent. Thoughts connected to you never completely disappeared. Something huge is waiting for you. Because your person's brother unknowingly opened a door that can no longer be closed. The truth is now visible. The questions are now impossible to ignore. The feelings are now impossible to dismiss. And your person knows it. Deep down, they know it. That is why the sentence continues echoing through their mind. That is why they keep replaying the conversation. That is why they keep searching for deeper meaning behind those words. And with every passing day, the answer becomes clearer. The sentence was not important because it was spoken. The sentence was important because it was true. That is the difference. Truth carries weight. Truth creates reflection. Truth changes perspectives. And truth often arrives when people least expect it. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because your person is now standing at the edge of a realization that feels impossible to avoid. A realization that explains why certain memories remained alive. A realization that explains why certain feelings never completely disappeared. A realization that explains why one sentence from a brother was powerful enough to change an entire perspective overnight. And as that realization continues growing stronger, your person is beginning to understand something remarkable. Some people enter your life and become chapters. Others become part of the story itself. Last night, your person's brother accidentally revealed which one you are. And ever since that moment, nothing has felt exactly the same. The story is not over. In fact, the most important realization is still ahead. The realization that finally connects every memory, every feeling, every unanswered question, and every moment that brought your person to where they are now. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Because what your person finally understands next may be the very reason this entire journey unfolded exactly the way it did.